Hey everybody, I am so excited today. I am so happy to talk about the new guidelines published by the Canadian Association for Nuclear Medicine. I have them here. I printed them out. So many of you who know me or who followed my work know that I am one of the pioneers of using brain imaging tools for clinical psychiatric practice. At Amen Clinics, we've been using them for 30 years. And we believe they make us better physicians, they make us better psychiatrists, they make us better healers, because, as I've often said, psychiatry is the only medical specialty that virtually never looks at the organ it treats. And because of that, stigma lives, shame abounds, and the outcomes in psychiatry are no better than they were in the 1950s. And I didn't say that, but Tom Insel, who then was the director of the National Institute of Mental Health, said that. And we should be ashamed of that. That cardiology has made incredible strides. Oncology has made incredible strides. Gastroenterology, orthopedic medicine, and yet psychiatry is still making diagnoses based on symptom clusters with no biological data. And 30 years ago, I knew that was wrong, and I knew it would change. Just had no idea I'd be part of the change. So this prestigious scientific body that oversees all of nuclear medicine in Canada came out with a position paper that basically says, and you can read it, we're going to put links on our website, that brain SPECT imaging is indicated for a wide variety of neuropsychiatric indications. I'll read them to you. And I'm going to spend some time on this because it's just so important. We just finished a 30-day happiness challenge. You can still take it, 30dayhappinesschallenge.com. And one of the exercises is write down 20 of the happiest moments in your life. And quite frankly, this one's in the top 10 for me when they came out with these guidelines, because it's just validation that what we've been doing for a long time is good science. And when you've had as many critics as I have had, it just feels good. Because all along I knew I wasn't crazy and I knew I wasn't making it up. You just have to learn to deal with haters. So the first indication they talk about is suspected dementia. We can tell with SPECT a decade or more if your brain is headed for dementia before you have any symptoms. That just doesn't show up one day. And there are a lot of doctors that are ordering PET scans, and one of the questions we commonly get is, what's the difference between SPECT, single photon emission computed tomography, that's the study we do at Amen Clinics, PET, positron emission tomography. They're both nuclear medicine procedures. One looks at blood flow, SPECT. The other, PET, looks at glucose metabolism, they're getting a picture of activity and how the brain functions. So they're cousins to each other. SPECT tends to be cheaper. It's more widely available, which is why we like SPECT better. And MRIs in CT scans look at structure, PET and SPECT look at function. But the procedure guidelines were on brain SPECT imaging. So suspected dementia, and the PET scans for dementia go Alzheimer's, yes or no. SPECT will actually go Alzheimer's, frontal temporal lobe dementia, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, head trauma, dementia, toxin like alcoholic dementia. It'll give you more information. The pre-surgical location for epilepsy, so SPECT is actually used and has been used for a long time, where if somebody has seizure disorders that are not responding to medication, well, where might the neurosurgeon operate? For the evaluation of traumatic brain injury, I think that's one of SPECT's best uses. And one of the big lessons is mild traumatic brain injury is a major cause of psychiatric problems, and nobody knows about it because psychiatrists aren't looking at the brain. And so that car accident you had, or those concussions playing soccer or football that you had, they're driving anxiety, depression, and so on. The evaluation of substance abuse, so the real reason not to use drugs is they damage your brain. And scans can show the damage early, and it often provides the motivation for people to stop listening. Thank you for all your comments. Tell me where you guys are from. My goodness. So I love imaging for substance abuse because, one, you can go, okay, this is damaging your brain, you might want to stop. But two, you can also see why they might be using. Does their brain work too hard, so they're using alcohol to calm it down? Do they have untreated ADD and they're using cocaine or methamphetamines as a way to get stuff done and focus? This is so important. Inflammation, things like lupus, infections. I have a whole group now, over 100 COVID scans. COVID is not good for your brain. It activates the limbic or emotional brain. People are asking where they can find imaging. And if you go to Amen, like the last word in a prayer, amenclinics.com, that would be a great place to start. So infections like Lyme, HIV, my goodness, we started scanning when the HIV epidemic was big. And the scans just looked awful. But the exciting thing is if you treat it, the brain can get better, right? That's the big lesson. The most important lesson I've learned from imaging is you're not stuck with the brain you have, and you can make it better. There are clinics in Canada. The one I know of personally that I've been to is Lions Gate in Vancouver. Toxins and heavy metals, carbon monoxide. I'm a psychiatrist. Why do I care about those things? Because they damage your brain. And if they damage your brain, they put you at greater risk for depression, for anxiety, assessment of neuropsychiatric diseases. I love that one. So for ADD, depression, anxiety. And what imaging taught us a long time ago is clinically, I can tell if you're depressed in about 10 minutes, right? That is not hard for me. but I can't tell why you're depressed. And if you don't know why, how do you treat it? You're really just going to give Prozac and Lexapro to everybody? It's just sort of like throwing gum against the wall and hoping it sticks rather than know why. So yes, we can describe what something is by talking to you. We can't know why it is unless we actually look. OCD, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. And you won't be able to see this, but you'll see the difference between blue and black. These are all of the authors of the new procedure guidelines. Half of them were my students at some point, which just makes me so happy. And there are researchers from the United States on this report, from Canada, from Chile, from Australia. There's becoming a consensus that if you're not looking at the brain for complex mental health, brain health issues, you're behind the times. It's like, well, why aren't you looking? How do we know unless we look? So I hope this is helpful for you to learn more. You can pick up a copy of my book, The End of Mental Illness. And if you want to learn about the dragons from the past breathing fire on your emotional brain, pick up a copy of Your Brain Is Always Listening. I hope you guys have a great day. It's a great day for me. Take care.